Horror movie fans, what do you believe is the scariest movie you've seen?
The Blair Witch Project probably had to be there, but when it was released it was scary as hell. Cheating a bit, but Haunting of Hill House was such an amazing show it deserves a mention.
Haunting of Hill House is the only movie series that shook me to my core. This show gave me horrible nightmares. I was impressed. No show or movie has ever made me that scared.
Strangers seriously effed me up for a few days. Probably the most disturbed I've been by a film.
Listen, The Green Inferno hits a different part of scary. The plot follows an activist group which gets in a plane crash and is abducted by a cannibalistic tribe. Something about it is scary due to the aspect of realism, and just because it plays on the fact of pure vulnerability.
Midsommar effed me up harder than any movie, so I'll say that. It starts off hopeless, and just gets worse. Don't get me started on the people who argue that it had a happy ending.
Hereditary. That early scene disturbed me so deeply that I had to stop the movie and process for a bit before finishing. And then things got weird.
Annabelle Creation messed me up a bit. I think the location and fact that it's filmed mostly during the day is super creepy. They also sneak in this ghost-like monster guy in the background of some of the scenes, and it is terrifying.
I draw a distinction between horror and horrible movies. Horror equals scary, in theory. The Exorcist horrible equals torture porn, Saw or The Human Centipede. They are unsettling in different ways. For horror I'd pick The Blair Witch or Ringu, remade as The Ring, and is very good. But I think horror as scary has had its day. We're too self-aware now to be scared.
Blair Witch. This is the scariest one I've ever watched. It doesn't scare me now since I've seen it a billion times, and I'm a lot older, but it did scare me a lot when I was younger, not even because I thought it was all real, because I knew it wasn't. I think it was just how raw the footage was, how genuine the emotions of the actors felt, and the fact that you could really sense their fear even though you never saw anything in the woods besides a few rocks and sticks. Even just Josh mentioning how he heard cackling on the first night was enough to give me the serious heebies. You don't hear the cackling yourself, you just see him talking about it, but if you have the imagination you can imagine him waking up in the middle of the night in the tent and listening outside, and hearing this creepy cackling in the distance. They are so far away from any towns or villages that they shouldn't expect to come across any other people out there, which makes it even creepier. The Blair Witch Project spawned a whole genre of horror movies, found footage, which has spawned some great movies among many flops over the years. I love the genre. I've seen loads of found footage movies since Blair Witch, but only a few have come close. It's low budget, but it's about the creativity, and that's what I love about the genre. The Blair Witch Project cost next to nothing to produce, and yet it was a massive success. I also watched the Blair Witch Project with my mum on late nights quite frequently when I was younger. We'd both stay up super late in the living room, and stick it on, and sit there quietly shitting ourselves. One of our greatest bonding moments, LMAO. Wherever you are, Blair Witch actors, thank you for providing such a scary and amazing movie.
The Haunting from 1999. It's a less-known movie, at least I rarely hear people talking about it.
Japanese horrors are by far better than American horror movies, with a few exceptions. The Japanese have a way of storytelling and filming where it's not nearly as generic stuff but truly terrifying. I wish I could remember some of the names off the top of my head. Here are some to get started, no particular order. 1. Battle Royale. 2. Shudder. 3. One Missed Call. 4. Morbido. 5. Ringu. 6. A Tale of Two Sisters, Korean. 7. The Call, Korean. Newspaper. But in all seriousness, Hereditary. It's a slow burner that plays with the doubt of the supernatural and ends at the apex of the story. I really hate epilogues. great acting, visually inventive, it is a down-to-earth story akin to Exorcist.
Lolita, 1997. I think what scares me most is how real people like Humbert are, and that they hide amongst the rest of us. It might have also scared me more because I saw it when I was 12.
First Halloween movie scared the heck out of us. Then afterwards there's a guy in the parking lot wearing the same mask, priceless.
Silent Hill, Revelation, it is sick. Also, The Nun, it isn't really a scary movie, but what makes it scary, and so sinister and wicked is the so-called church song that plays, that my mom says it is, but to me it don't sound holy. It sounds very quiet, unholy and sinister.
Seeing the nun's face down a long dark hallway always makes my hair stand up. It's that uncanny valley, her face looks human but wrong to me. It's why I find The Conjuring 2 scarier than the first one. Also, it doesn't help that my bedroom is halfway down a narrow dark hallway with no light, so I have to walk toward her to get to safety after watching those movies at night.
Personally, my first experience of Night of the Living Dead was the scariest I've seen. I was around 13, late night, watching alone, and I'm a boomer, you gotta understand, the news broadcasts, and all made it very real and plausible. That wasn't quaint dated old-timey stuff to me. That was like the local news I saw when we visited relatives out in Ohio. Added bonus was the days before we had a remote control TV. I sat there wishing the commercial breaks would come to give me some relief, because I wasn't about to get out of the chair to change the channel and have some effer grab my ankle. It was scary.
2P was scary for me because when I watch horror films I kind of put myself in the scenario and play, how would I get out of this? A lot of the time I would never be in that situation. I would not use a Ouija board or go to some abandoned house out in the middle of nowhere so I can enjoy the movie, and how stupid the characters are. But in 2P, she was just getting her car. Shit like that can happen to anyone, and that kind of freaked me out.
Midnight Cowboy. The inescapable poverty trap, filled with hopelessness, suffering and degradation. Horror movies aren't scary because intellectually you know it's all fiction. Rubber masks and ketchup for blood. But MC is not only real, it's entirely plausible that you could find yourself in such a circumstance, and only by accident of birth that you aren't already. That's real horror.
Midsummer. I literally got scared by being scared. I don't feel like watching horror movies.
Thanks for watching. If you have any movies you want to share, please write them in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, so you don't miss out on more videos like this.